Hi, I'm Megan, and today I'm going to show you how to play Bites. This is for 2 to 5 players, plays in around 20 minutes, and is published by Board Game Tables, which is also known as Allplay. To set up, you're going to construct the anthill, and then place the anthill on one side of the table. Next, you're going to select the 4 cards that you're going to play with, one of each color. So we have the Overachiever, the Minimalist, the Doubler, and the Collector. This is what the instructions recommend for your first game. And just put those off to the side. Take one of each type of food besides the chocolate and the wine. So 1 apple, 1 grape, 1 bread, 1 bell pepper, and 1 cheese. And place it next to the anthill. Next, take the other 55 food tokens and mix them up and lay them out in a path from the anthill to the other end of the table. You can lay them out however you wish. It'll look something like this when you're all done. Take all the ants except for the zebra ant and place them at the end of the trail. And now you're ready to begin. The rulebook doesn't give a start player rule, it just says pick a start player. So on your turn, you're going to pick any color ant and move it to the first matching food color of that ant. So for example, if I take the purple ant, I move it to the grape. And then you take what's in front of it or what's behind it, behind or in front. So I'll take the wine and just keep that in a pile nearby. Then the next player would go and they would move an ant. So if they want to move the red ant, they move it all the way over here to the first available apple. Then they would take either the bell pepper or the cheese. If there's an ant in front or behind you, your options are then what's in front of or behind that ant. So for example, my options for the red ant would now be the bell pepper or the bell pepper. You cannot take a food token that has an ant on it. And no 2 ants can share the same space because they're all going to be on their own color food. So another example, if this was here and I was moving the red ant, now my options is the bell pepper or the cheese. If there's no matching food to move the ant onto, you move them onto the anthill next, taking the first available space based off of the card you chose. So we're using the Overachiever card, which means the ants go to the anthill. They take the highest available space. So this ant would go to the 4 space. Play continues until all 5 ants make it to the anthill. When you move an ant onto the anthill, you take one of the food that was set aside at the beginning of the game. So in this case, I'd probably want to take the cheese because the cheese is going to be worth more points because it's at the top of the anthill. So it being on the 4 space means that every ant, every cheese is worth 4 points. If red was on the 3, every apple is worth 3 points. Now let's talk about the cards. The blue background cards are special rule cards. They change up the game, usually by adding in other components. The red background cards are the anthill cards. They tell you in what order the ants go onto the anthill. Then you have the brown background, which is the chocolate cards. They tell you how you can spend chocolate. Then you have the cream colored cards that are the wine cards, and they tell you how the wine score points. So in this game, we have the Overachiever. Like I said, it tells you that the ants go to the highest available space on the anthill first. Then we have the Minimalist, which is no effect. We have the Doubler that says after your turn, you can take a second food for the ant you just moved. So basically, if you collect chocolate, you can spend chocolate, but you cannot spend chocolate on the turn that you received the chocolate. So it has to be a future turn. And this particular card says that you can spend this after your turn to take a second food for the ant you just moved. So for example, if I move the green ant here, I can take the bread, and then I can take either the apple or the wine by spending my chocolate. And then this card for the wine says that each wine is worth 1 point for each different type of food you have at least one of. So if I have these 4 food, and only these 4 food, so I didn't collect any grapes, doesn't matter how many of these types of food I have, as long as I have at least one. That means my wine is worth 1, 2, 3, 4 points each. So every wine I collect is worth 4 points, so this would give me 8 points. Then we have these other cards for the anthill cards. This one says they take the lowest available space. This one says they take the spaces in this order: 4, 2, 0, 3, and then 1. For the wine cards, this one says each wine is worth 1 point for each of your food tokens that are worth 0 or 1 points. So my cheese is worth 4 points each, my apples are worth 3 points each, my grapes are worth 2 points each, my breads are worth 1 point each, and my bell peppers are worth nothing. But my wine, for every bell pepper and every bread that I have, my wine is worth that many points. So if I have a total of 3 bell peppers and bread combined, then my wine is worth 3 points each. So every wine is worth 3 points. This one has a little chart. 0 wine is negative 3 points, and then up to 5 wine is 12 points. Exactly 1 wine equals 7 points. Any other number equals 0 points. And it says for setup, you use 1 fewer wine token than the number of players, and do not place wine in the first quarter of the trail. Each wine is worth 1 point for each food token of the type you have the most. So if you have the most apples and you have 6 apples, then your wine is worth 6 points each. Each wine is worth 1 point for each wine you have. So if you have 3 wine, your wines are worth 3 points each. This is another chart. Your 0 wine is worth 0 points, 2 wines is 8 points, and up to 5 wine is 5 points. This is for the special rules. We'll go over that next. I'll do chocolate first. So remember, chocolate is spending your chocolate in order to do the action. So instead of your turn, move an ant 1 space forward, ignoring color, and take the food tokens in front and behind it. So if your cheese was here, you would spend your chocolate and move to the next space, ignoring the color, and then take the food in front and behind it. When moving an ant, skip the first food token that matches their color. So again, for this example, you would skip this cheese and move to the next cheese. Before or after your turn, pick up the 3 food tokens from the start of the trail, keep 1, place the other 2 at the end of the trail. So you pick up these 3, keep 1, and place the other 2 at the end. Before or after your turn, choose a player to give you 1 food token of their choice. Do not place, for setup, do not place chocolate tokens in the first quarter of the trail. So this one, you steal food tokens from other players. So you choose any player, but the player that you're stealing from gets to choose which food token they give you. Before or after your turn, move an ant on the anthill to an adjacent unoccupied space on the anthill. Lay that ant down. It can't be moved again. If the adjacent space is taken, you can't move that ant that direction. So, say you had the card where the ants go to the lowest space available, and you had 2 ants on the anthill. This lets you spend chocolate to move an ant to the next available space on the anthill. You can either move them up or down, but if the space, so this one you can't move down because there's already an ant there, but you can move them up. Instead of your turn, move an ant back to the start of the trail and take 2 moves with it. So that's a good strategy if an ant is getting to the end and you don't want them to score the higher points. You can move them to the back to the start of the trail, and then you get to move them twice and take 2 food tokens. Take a second turn, moving any ant backward instead of forward. Take a food token as normal. So you would be here, and you move back to the next available color. Now we've got the special rule cards. So this one says you replace the anthill bonus food with the small food tokens. That would be these. So you would replace these big tokens with these small ones. Now, it doesn't say whether or not you add these into the trail or you just take them out of the game. I guess you can do whatever you wish. But you replace those with the small ones. I guess since it says replace, then I would assume that you would just take them out of the game, but I don't know. So these don't score points when you take them, but all your matching food of that type is worth 2 extra points. So if you take the bell pepper, all your bell peppers are worth 2 extra points. This one for setup, it says to place 2 gold tokens in the last 3/4 of the trail. Okay, so I can put one here, and then I can place one here. Where is this going? Oh, right there. And each gold is worth 5 points. So when you pass over it, you get that gold. Actually, no, I think you collect it just like you would. It doesn't say pass over it. So if you were here, you can collect either the grape or the gold. This one uses the zebra ant. Isn't it so cute? You remove one ant color from the game, replace it with the zebra ant. So you could take out the red ant at the beginning of the game, just put it by the anthill, and you replace it with the zebra ant. The zebra ant lands on chocolate and wine, and it still takes the food either in front of or behind it. Then when the zebra ant gets to the anthill, you're going to replace the zebra ant with the ant you removed at the beginning of the game. This one uses these sticks, and you place the stick tokens at the end of each 1/4 of the trail. The first player to move an ant over a stick must take it. Each stick is worth -2 points. If you move an ant past the merchant stand, immediately trade 1 food token from your supply with 1 from the anthill supply. So that uses this. You place the merchant stand in the trail between the 1/2 and 3/4 point. So we're going to place it over here. And then, so if you move an ant past the merchant stand, you immediately trade 1 of your food tokens for 1 of the food tokens. You would use the big tokens in this case. You would trade 1 of your food tokens with 1 from the anthill. This one, each player is assigned a random secret small food token, so 1 of these, and all matching food they have are worth an extra 2 points each. And that's all the cards for the game. At the end of the game, you'll have all 5 ants on the anthill. Where's the green one? You add up your scores, so let's take some food tokens. Let's say I spent my chocolate. Alright, so I've got 3 bell peppers, they're worth 4 points each. I got 3 apples, they're worth 3 points each. I've got 2 cheese, they are worth 1 point each. I got a grape that's worth nothing. And I've got 2 bread that is worth 2 points each. Then if I'm doing this card for the wine, it says Each one is worth 1 point for each different type of food you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have all 5 different food types, so each one is worth 5 points each. So that's 10 points. So you just add up those points for the wine and your food based off of where the ants are on the anthill, and that's the end of the game. Whoever has the most points wins. So that's it for Bites. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.